Hi guys, are you hard on yourself? Do you find yourself in an endless loop of self-criticism and judgment? Because if so, this is the video for you, and you will want to stick around to tip number 3 because it's a question I ask myself which has really changed my relationship to myself, and I know that it's going to help you. I've spent the last few years really diligently and consciously trying to raise my inner critic up to my inner coach, my inner cheerleader, and I've whittled it down to 7 tips or steps that I can offer you. I hope you get something out of it. Let's dive in. The first step is to recognize your inner critic, to recognize the voice, and you have to really start paying attention to the things you tell yourself. So the inner critic will show up in things like, I should have, I could have, I would have, it'd be better if, everyone's better than me, that's crap, my work's crap, I'm never going to get anywhere. This negative self-talk, that's the inner critic criticizing you to try and protect you from potential outside criticism. It's important to recognize the thoughts that we tell ourselves so that we can catch them. Tip number 2 is to transform your inner critic into your inner coach. For example, instead of saying you're going to mess up, you're hopeless, you want to replace that with you can do this, I can and I will. So there's nothing that can explain this point better than this little clip that I found on the internet, which is so gorgeous. This little girl here is championing herself. There's no inner critic there. She is coaching herself to have the best life, the best day. Here we go. Okay, so it turned out that this little girl is copyrighted and I couldn't upload the video as is. So basically, this little girl is jumping around saying, I like my hair, I like my house, I like my cousin. And she's going on and on and on about how much she likes herself and her life and her body and how capable she is. And she just works herself up into a frenzy, and it's just so inspiring. I will leave a link to this video in the description so you can watch it for yourself. I highly recommend it. She's just gorgeous. She's so gorgeous. I love it. I'm so inspired by that. And that's, affirmations, which we've all heard of affirmations, but it actually does work. But you got to say it with feeling, just like that little girl. Tip number 3, the self-love question. Ask yourself, what would someone who loved themselves do? What would someone who loved themselves say? If I loved myself, what would I say to myself? How powerful is that? Tip number 4 is the friend test. So what I'm saying to myself, would I say that to a friend? Chances are you wouldn't. We are so much kinder to other people than ourselves. So I'm a coach, and when people come to me and they're really stuck in this deep self-criticism and self-judgment and self-loathing and unworthiness, and they can't seem to get themselves out of it, I use this question because it really is transformative. If this was your sister, if this was your best friend, what would you say? What would you say to them right now? And usually they burst into tears. They honestly, more often than not, there's tears because people recognize, oh my goodness, it gives them a bit of space between their thoughts and themselves, their hearts, to actually acknowledge, wow, this is really toxic, damaging language. And it's a little window for the compassion to come in. That's a great one. Tip number 5 is taking note of the phrases that we tell ourselves and rewriting them. So for me, I have a common thing. I'm failing, I'm not good enough, I can't get this done. And then I get overwhelmed because I expect a lot from myself. And I have a mentor, and she's so beautiful. She said to me the other day when I was saying, I can't get this done, all these things I'm working so much, I just can't get it done. And she said to me, some days just breathing is enough. Just breathing is enough. Like, what are your expectations of yourself? Have some compassion for yourself. If all you did today was breathe and eat and sleep, fine. Tomorrow's a new day. And that just really calmed my nervous system. So I really recommend that. Did you breathe today? Maybe that was enough. Tip number 6 is to really celebrate the small wins. It's easy to celebrate the big wins, they really stand out, but it's the everyday little things that really add up. If we notice them and are grateful for them, it can really change your state. And you can do this in a victory log or a victory journal, just writing down, even if it's, I made my bed today, if you haven't been able to do it for a while. I cleaned my car, even if, it's been something that's been on your mind to do, or I held the door open for someone today, or I had a nice exchange with someone on the street, or, my colleagues and I were really in flow today. You know, all little things just like that, they do add up. And as you write those things, you feel gratitude, and that rewires your brain, and so on and so forth. So little things matter. Write them down. Tip number 7 is to practice compassion. And compassion is my absolute favorite sacred quality. As soon as I feel compassion for another person or myself, like my whole energy field changes, and I just feel completely different, and it's very accessible for me, and it's very quick. So I really want to offer that to you. I've created a 2-3 minute meditation on compassion. I find it really effective, really quickly changes my state. The link is in the description. You can pop your email in, and that meditation will go straight to you. And then if you want to unsubscribe after that, that's completely fine. Otherwise, you're just on my mail list, and then occasionally, like once a month or once every couple of months, I'll send an email out and keep you updated on things. So remember that being gentle with yourself is not about lowering your standards. It's about creating a supportive environment to thrive. You know, I know, just on a personal note, when I was a little kid, there was a role model in my life who used to yell a lot, and when that person would yell at me, my brain would completely shut down and I would freeze, and I would have no thought going on in my head, and that freeze trauma response carried on through my whole life. So whenever I feel like it's dangerous to get it wrong, or someone's going to be upset or judge me, my brain literally shuts down and there's no thought. I couldn't answer a question. And I'm also an actor, as I've talked about in other videos, and with acting, you know, you're in front of a lot of people and so people are going to judge you. And so it took me a while to develop this resilience of being in front of people and not worrying that they're going to judge me. And I didn't get it right every time, but I could sometimes get to the point where I didn't care if people were judging me. But I just remember with directors, if they were harsh or the audience was harsh, I would just completely shut down. But if they're encouraging and loving, then I felt freer to be creative. And that's what it's like for us with our inner critic. If we're harsh on ourselves, we cannot possibly have access to our creativity. And that is huge, because we're creative beings and we're creating every day. So the life that we're going to have through our creativity is so much better than the life that we're going to have through harsh self-criticism. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, make a comment. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.